So it's like 35 degrees out today, and JJ is on his way with his S10. We're gonna be throwing a roll cage in it. So in preparation for that, gotta clean the damn driveway up. The trash can's still sitting in shambles, but the Regal is about ready to go. So we just gotta get the bar cleaned up over here and get it taken off the trailer so that we can get his S10 up on there. And then while he goes and picks it up, I'm gonna be cleaning up the garage because a bomb went off at some point apparently. So we'll try to get all that stuff taken care of and get rolling on it and see where we can get today. Hopefully we can at least try to get a game plan on it. The new tubing notcher and all should be here, so hopefully by the end of the week we've got a full roll cage in that, and we can actually take it to the track and see what his truck will do finally. So let's see how all that goes. Let's go ahead and push this Regal out of the way. It does run, but it doesn't have a seat in it, so it's kind of a pain to drive. It's just easier just to push it wherever it needs to go. So then we'll move my wife's car out of the driveway real quick so that we can kind of make a little more space for this project to get started and blow everything off real quick. And we should be about ready for JJ to get here. And we'll get this bar that we used at our wedding off of the trailer. This thing it's ready to be sold, but seeing as how we don't have a buyer for it yet, mostly because we haven't really tried to sell it, we still fight it at least once a week on where to store it. So it's beautiful, but right now it's more just in the way than anything else. And now to clean out this damn bomb shelter. We've got everything from welders to engine lifts to band saws to every tool imaginable in here, as well as everything that my wife normally uses, including her massive plant collection that I have to move out of here. The washer and dryer in here, utility sink, everything. But it works for us right now. JJ showed back up with the S10, so we're gonna unload it, get it completely leveled on the frame so that the suspension can't move or anything while we're building this, and then we'll get it started here in just a second. So JJ finally got the S10 here. We got it off the trailer, got it all leveled out, and set up, getting ready to do the cage. We're doing a cage in this thing. It is a full-blown street truck for him, but we are doing a cage because he does want to do a little bit of no prep stuff here and there and be able to go do some track days with us when we go do that. So a quick rundown on the truck is, I mean, it's just a basic, single cab S10 single turbo LS setup, the same thing that everybody has. It's just the combo that works. So we're gonna see if we can't make it a little bit safer for him and have something he can play with. We want to go ahead and get this cage unloaded and sort the bars out before we really get started on it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be doing on this cage is trying to figure out where we're going to set the main hoop. We know that we've heard some issues with if you set the main hoop too far forward, or too far backwards, that it hits a body mount underneath here, which there is for sure one there. So a lot of cages, what they'll do is they'll come through this area here, and they will, the harness bar itself will have like a bend in it that, kicks that farther back so you don't lose all your seating room. JJ, like I said, this thing is a street truck, so he really does want to be able to drive it on the street and not have the cage in the way at all. So one of the things that I really want to try to focus on is keeping the cage as far back against this back firewall as possible. If that means we have to notch a body mount or we have to do some kind of fancy stuff, as far as that goes, then that just is what it is. But we want to keep it as high and tight to the roof as possible and as far back and out of the way as possible. That's the goal anyway. So we're gonna take some measurements here and start trying to see about, at least setting the main hoop and getting some outriggers made up for it. Because that's the other thing is, with this cage, you know, with it being a full frame car, we've got to tie the cage to the frame itself. So we are going to be putting in some outriggers, kind of like I did on my truck. So we'll let you guys know how that works out here in just a few minutes.
Okay.
So what we have found is every time we do any kind of roll cage on a truck, there's always that little bracing back here that kind of, you know, probably holds it together and makes it not a, you know, flimsy tin can. But you know, street trucks, it doesn't matter, I guess, right? What we do is we cut that out. It gives us enough room to where now the main hoop can tuck back here as tight as possible and get back here as close to the back firewall as possible. Again, like I said, we're trying to keep it as street friendly as possible and have it be out of his way. And you know, in order to be able to tuck the main hoop and get the halo and everything else all as nice and tight as possible, you know, you end up having to remove these. So we're gonna probably go ahead and see about marking some holes out and try to get that main hoop at least fed up in there and see what it looks like. Measuring and cutting the holes for this would have been much easier if I had just gotten our plasma cutter out, but we decided to try it with the hole saw anyways, and I still stand by it would have been easier if we had just gotten the plasma cutter. Either way though, we wound up getting the holes made and we got this thing kind of set in there where it needs to be. So we got the main hoop in and we've got it kind of situated about where we want it to be. We've got it up as high and tight as we can get it here, and then you know, everything's all plumb and square and level, and you know, centered up in the back cab, and so we should be pretty good there. Now we're just gonna need to create some sort of outrigger for down here. So we're gonna plug away at that and see what we can make happen. Again, the goal today is to try to get that situated in here and settled in. So right now, the fitment is great on it. So yeah, I have to cover up some holes down here later on, but overall, it fits really good. I had some square tubing left over from my roll cage, so we just chopped that up into some pieces for outriggers, and we'll get those tacked in to hold this hoop up. So we got the main hoop set in, it's tacked in. The outriggers are tacked on. And while we're waiting on the tubing notcher to be able to set the main hoop and all, we decided we'll go ahead and start adding in the anti-roll bar. We picked this up from Trick Chassis. It's a pretty simple little kit. We took a couple of existing holes in the frame, little 1/4-inch holes, and used them as a pilot for our hole saw. And now what we do is we just take this piece of tubing here, slide it through, and then the actual anti-roll bar itself, the mechanism has a couple of brackets that weld onto this and then bolt onto that, and it's a whole thing. So we're gonna go ahead and get started on this and just kind of see how far we can get there. Okay, so we got everything welded in. They come with like a washer, like a huge fender washer almost, that goes on the outside that, you know, I'm not entirely sure that that's what they were meant to do, but it works pretty good as like a reinforcement for out here. So we went ahead and put it there, and then just mounted the tabs on the axle, mounted the tabs on the actual tube itself. We're gonna let everything cool down real quick and hit it with a coat of paint, and we'll toss that on, and the anti-roll bar will be done. It's important to make sure that it's still at about 587.2 degrees before you actually paint it. That way the paint sticks right.
And just any excess that comes off, you just do that with it.
Yeah, just miss your finger into it. Everybody knows that's the trick. We're experts at spray painting. So we've got the tubing notcher. We found out it is on the way here. So what we've done is, normally we'd call our glass guy, but we don't have time today. So we're gonna take it out the old fashioned way. Hey, there we go. Oh man. Oh, that's working. What about the, keep going towards the middle? There you go. Oh yeah. Oh, that's nice. Okay, so we got the windshield completely out. Even did a little bit of safety protocol here. We went ahead and took the halo bar here and got it set up there, just kind of as an idea of where we want it to sit. Obviously it's not cut down or anything like that, but we're just trying to figure out kind of where we want to put the line for it at. And once we figure that out, we'll go ahead and we'll take and notch the rear of it back here to where it meets the main hoop in the right location. And then once we do that, it's a simple matter of tack it up and then work on the down bars for the front and see where they're going to land, and also what the easiest way to keep them tucked to the pillar is going to be. A lot of times, and like especially on my cage that I did, you do it and it's almost an afterthought. So in my truck, you see it kind of sticks out a lot. Now it's when driving, you don't notice it at all, but it would be nicer if up here I had brought it over a little bit further. But this was the first cage I had ever fitted up, so I didn't know. So what we're gonna do is try to pay attention to those little things and see if we can't make this one considerably nicer. So we'll get to work on that and check back in. So it has been a full day. We got the anti-roll bar installed while we were waiting on the tubing notcher to get here, which it finally showed up. We got it put together, threw it in, and we got the main hoop installed. We got the halo installed, and we got the two front bars put in. I know I talked about wanting these bars to be a little bit closer to the pillar than they actually are, but with a pre-mint cage, that's kind of what you run into. We've got it as close as we can get it where I still feel safe. Obviously, we don't want to have it too far out here, because if it's too far to this side, it doesn't actually support this halo very well. So we kind of split our difference and put it over here, as much as we felt comfortable doing. So now, basically it's time to throw together a quick dash bar in here, and then which we got to have the actual dash to do that, so that we can make sure that it clears everything inside, all the structures of the dash. And then once we take care of that, we're gonna do harness bar and get it pretty close to where it needs to be and get it tacked in. and then drop the entire thing and start welding it out. I think we're basically at a point tonight where we're going to be able to call it, but we'll get back on it here soon and finish this thing out. We've said it before, and I'll definitely reiterate it here. We are not professionals by any means. You see it here. We're just a group of dudes who, I live in a cul-de-sac. You know, right now you see my neighbor and two of my very best friends. I mean, we're just hanging out, wrenching on cars on the weekends. This is just what we do. Hopefully we get a little better at it as we keep going. And, you know, this is why we do it. Just right here, just hanging out and having a good time. Hope you guys like the video. We'll see you in the next one.